Today I'm going to take you on a little tour. We're going to tour all the navigation in Microsoft Projects. Alright, let's do a tour of Microsoft Projects. First we need to open Microsoft Projects. So go to Project, Microsoft Project. Alright, this first window that pops up, we're just going to, for this example, open a blank project. And we're going to start from kind of left to right. We're going to walk through some of these ribbons. I'm going to go as quick as possible. There's a lot on here, so I'm not going to cover everything. We're just going to get the basic navigation and what my thoughts are about some items that I use frequently. Okay, so starting from left, here at Files, this is just pretty straightforward Microsoft stuff where you can open where you've saved different revisions of Microsoft Project. Some people like to open their files from here, or they keep them organized in a SharePoint. Regardless, this is just where you open it. There's some tabs here. I don't use them a lot. I don't really use information. There's save. Printing, this is a route you could get to printing. We haven't made anything on the project yet, so nothing's here. There's some parameters about printing. We've got another video that talks about printing, so I'm going to move over this. Share, you can export. That's another detail for another video of how to export in different file options. But the biggest one, so we'll skip over here. Close would close it. Accounts. This is very similar to some Microsoft type settings. I don't get in here a lot. You can change the themes, but you can also change that from some other locations. But here I want to show you one I use a lot as options. Now I like options. I don't use all of these, but there's a few that I think are really good. So under general, this one's a good one, date format. This allows you to change how the date appears. So let's say, for instance, some projects I use, I want the month, the day, the year, and the time. So we do that. I'm going to show you real quick. Hit OK. We're just going to have some arbitrary tasks called task 1. And also, I want to show you here. So this new task that was just added was defaulted as a manual scheduled task. We're going to change that, and I'll show you that in a minute. But let's move to automatic, and you can see here that date format, March 28th, or the month, the day of the year, and the time. So if you go back to file options, you can change that. Let's say you just want the shorthand. Don't be distracted by the 2009. That's just how they show the example. But hit OK right there. Now you can see it shortened up a little bit. So let's go back here, file options. You can change the theme that was in that first file tab as well. Lunchbox, it's like a decoration on the top corner of when you do files. It's really nothing. Office theme, I like black. It's my eyes are a little sensitive sometimes, so white would just make everything very, very bright. You'll hit OK. See how it just brightens everything up. Go back here. Options. That's personal preference of how your eyes are. We'll go back to this original theme, file options. Okay, so that's general. Display, I don't use this a lot. I think you could change how many decimal places things round to. Like I said, not something I use frequently. This one's good. There's a lot here. So you can basically, it gives the best way that I could describe it is assumptions. So we assume the start of the week, it's saying Sunday. You can change that to Monday, depending on how you like to schedule. Default start times. Depending on industry, I do 7 a lot. Hours per day. Maybe you're working a project that works 10s. And this is just default. If you just put in day, it assumes 8 or 10 hours, whatever you put on here. This one I do a lot. It can be a little confusing. So sometimes if you open a project, it will be defaulted by percentage. So that's a little confusing sometimes. So let's leave it as percentage, and I'll show you what that means. So hit OK. So it's based off a resource. So let's say the resource was Joshua Company, right? And there's going to be, let's go to resource, 5 people are going to work on task 1 for Joshua Company. Hit OK. It shows 500 or 5%, which can be a little misleading to me. Actually, that was 5%. So it's a percentage of units. So 100% would be like one individual. I don't know if this may be more of a earned value type measure if you want to do percentages. For me, I like decimal. So let's say it's 3 people, which is, I guess, 300% of that resource. If you go back to File, Options, Schedule, percentage, change that to decimal, it's a little more straightforward that there's 3 of those resources now. So that's what that is. That's what I prefer. We'll go to Options, back to Schedule. This is a good one. New task created manual. So I showed you earlier that first task was manual. Automatic is my preference because the best way to describe that without getting into a lot of detail is that it's smart. It has the ability to understand the logic that's presented. So let's just add task 2 and you click out of it. It automatically did automatic. So that is something that you don't have to go back under task and change every time. You won't have to go change it to manual schedule. That's an image of the pin here. Okay, let's continue through here. So we're under the schedule. We just mentioned that. There's some auto schedule tasks. This is good. I like that any new task, its start date defaults on the project start time. If you don't like that, you can do the current date. Some options there. This one's a good one. Duration is entered in days. A lot of times I change this to hours. So on some projects that I work in an outage situation, it is a 30-hour task, not a 3-day task, because there might be a night shift involved. Same thing, work is entered the same way. Default task type, fixed units. I'm not going to go through all that in this video. Just know there are several different parameters. We'll have some more videos explaining constraints and things like that. So let's skip this section for now because this is a more in-depth conversation. Continue through here. Show task schedule warnings. Sometimes these are nice. They'll ask you if you have a situation where tasks are linked together and they don't like it, that don't seem logical. And not logical in a sense that in a construction project that this task can't start before this task. It's more of a maybe a logic tie situation. Sometimes they're good. It will ask you when one of those appear, you can ignore it on that command when it pops up in the box. Show task schedule suggestions. I don't do this. Typically, I don't want their suggestions, but if you like, you can turn that on. Calculations, calculate project after each edit. I do like that. That's kind of like how Primavera has a Schedule options. I like this. That'll actually always live be a working schedule. I think that's a nice aspect of Microsoft Project. Okay, a couple other things. Let's kind of skip over here. This is some default stuff that I don't. Inserted projects are calculated like summary tasks. I would leave these here for now. We can get into more of this later, but let's move on here. There's a lot. Proofing. I don't do this. I don't change these a lot. Ignore words with uppercase. You could, or containing numbers. Flag repeated words. It's just kind of on the spell check option. This can give defaulted file locations to save. I don't typically change that. I try to set up that file first in the save as type situation and put it in the path, but you could put it there. This is a good one. Sometimes if I have a junior scheduler working for me and I don't necessarily, I want to make sure that they're not losing files, I'll have it saved every 15 minutes. It basically pops up and says, do you want to save? That's good there. Let's move on to language. I think you could, I'm sure, change the language here. Advanced, I use some in here. I'll show you one that I do use a lot. Let's skip down to this one here at the bottom. So I change this one often. So tasks are critical if Slack is less than or equal to 0. We've got some videos that talk about Slack and critical path, but what that means is you're giving this level of criticality by adjusting the days there. So sometimes if you have a lot of tasks that, let's say that your critical path is floating around 3 days and you have several tasks that are critical path, you could bump this down to 2 days or 0 days to define what's critical. The rest of these we're not going to get into. I'm sure you can customize a ribbon that we're going to go through. We're just going to walk through what's kind of defaulted now. All right, so that was file. Task has several options in here. Big one here is view. If you click this drop down, it gives you your different views. Calendar view, it would, I assume, be useful in several situations. Not something that I use a lot because a lot of these projects that we work on are longer term, but you could. Gantt chart, that's more of your typical out of the box view. I use Gantt chart a lot. Let's go continue down here. Network diagram. Never been a huge fan of that. I think there might be some other instances in there. Resource sheet. Resource sheet is nice. It can give you some parameters about your resource. So we made that one Josh Co. You can put some earned value measures of how much that individual is charging to the project, what calendar they're working, and you can add columns and a slew of different information you can gather from that resource. So that one I find useful a lot. Resource usage, this is nice. We've got some other videos that will do a deep dive in this, but this is a great tool. I really like this. It will show you on a different time scale how you're allocating resources. So if we had this schedule active, we had several tasks, you could see that this Josh Co resource has a task 1 that's 8 hours, and on Friday it has 8-hour task, and collectively for Friday there is 8 man hours of work. So if we had other tasks on here, it would, if we had another 8-hour task, it would be 16. So 16, and you can really level your resources. This is a great tool. I really like resource usage. Resource form, I don't use this a lot. This can be shown in some different Gantt chart views. I'll kind of get into that here in a minute. We've got resource graphs. I don't use this one a lot either. I can just show you a different visual of how your resources are. In certain cases, this might be nice. Task usage, similar to that resource usage, but just a little different format. And some of these other ones I don't really use. I don't think we're going to get into all this. Tracking Gantt is nice, though. It shows you baseline versus actual, gives you two different. We got a video that talks about that, but basically, if we had some progress on the schedule, you can see a line that indicates where we are and then where we had planned. So this is nice. You have to set up the view to make it look halfway decent, but it's good. Those are some views. So let's continue to look through here. Copy, cut, paste, format painter. I use that a lot. That's how you just format columns. This is clipboard. This is clipping items. Fonts, that's really straightforward. If you click this box here, there's more options. Schedule. This is nice, so it can quickly on the fly, you can select one of these and put progress your tasks along. That's nice. This is where you indent and outdent your tasks. So let's say that I'm going to hit insert. We're going to call this work breakdown structure 1. We want these tasks to be up under that. You select them and then click this indent button, and that now categorize it into WBS1. So I use that a lot. This task here, actually these, I don't use split a lot, but I do use this link function. Sorry. So you can click a task, hold down the control button, click another task, and click this link. So now they're linked one after the other. I think that's nice. You could break links too. I don't use these a lot. We talked a little bit about manual schedule and auto schedule. I'm a big proponent on auto schedule. See, this one is manual now, and we're going to change it to auto. Inspect. I am a huge fan of the inspector or inspect. So let's click it there. It shows you your predecessors and things like that. So let's say this task is 2 days. All right, so let's make a couple other tasks. Task 3, task 4. So let's just put a little bit of logic in here. Let's link that. All right, so this is cool. So and I'm just arbitrarily just putting some things on the schedule. You can use the inspector. So let's say you're like, why is this task pushing to 10 o'clock? Let's say you have hundreds of tasks in here. You can identify what the driving predecessor is here by using the inspector. It looks, the predecessor is task, is ID number 3, task 2. And if this was a very large schedule, you could click that and it'll take you to it. Another nice thing is so this one, why is this one on April 1st? Because we have a constraint in a constraint type of start no earlier than that date. So I really like the inspector, and that's under inspect. So we'll close that. I don't really use move a lot. Here's a few other things. You can insert a task this way if that's how you wanted to. I just generally just press insert on my keyboard to add a new row, and then I just put I don't know, called task 5, or you could right click, insert a task. Task 6. But yeah, you can do that there if you like it up here better. You can insert summaries and milestones in here. Information. I do like this a lot. So project information. So you can access it a couple ways. Like this section is important to me. So let's say this task here, we want information. It gives you some details on your specific task that you can manipulate. The other way to access that is to just double click inside the task. So either there or there. Notes, that's just, it's a tab in information. So you can either double click inside, go over to the notes, advanced. There's several here. We'll walk through this in a minute. Details, I like this one a lot. So details gives you this at the bottom, and we can change this. We can't do it in this tab or in this view, but you can add that details box here. We'll get into more. I believe it's in the view. We'll walk through that. Actually, I'll show you now. Yeah, so we were under task, we hit details, and let's say this details box is not something you're interested in. Like, I like one that shows predecessors and successors. So how do we change this? Go to view, and right over here under split views, you can click and add this. So this is a task form, and there's several on here, but there's a few that I like more than others, and it looks like it wasn't used on here recently, but you can go to more views, and there's several on here. I like, let's find it here. I think it's task detail form. This one I like. Hit apply. So task detail form, and what we can do, I don't care for resources here. You can right click this and I can put predecessors and successors. So now I can look and see, okay, actually it says resource and predecessors. We want predecessors and successors. So this one's nice that you could put actually the constraints. You can see the predecessors, successors, really customizable, and you can tell like there's quite a few. Let's go back to finish off the task section. I think that really sums it up. So details, you can customize that. We just talked about it. Planner, that's another video. We're not going to get into that. Editing, this little drop-down box can lock your ribbon, hide it, however you like. I like to show it if I have the space. All right, so let's go to resource. If you drop down this box, it's basically under task where you have all these options. Under each individual tab, it has the view, and it has several here, but these are more related to resources. If you went to, let's say, view, it only shows you the 2 views. You can have all the views if you go to task. Okay, back to resource. A lot of this I just access through the different screens. I guess you could use, assigning resources through here and leveling. Not a tab I use frequently. Report. There's several different reports. That's going to be a different video, but we'll access that through here. Project. This has some good stuff in here. You could do sub-projects. Another video as well that takes a bit to get into, where you can have like mini projects within a big project. Project information. This is a good one. This gives you basic parameters of what your project date will be. So let's say this project, today it's the end of March, but let's say our project is going to start May 1st. For some random reason, we're going to do it on a Thursday at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Put the current date, schedule from project start date. And you've seen a lot of this already in what we just went over in the files. So Because we schedule from project start date, watch what it's going to do. So we just made this May 1, hit OK. Planning wizard, remember those suggestions? Let's say I don't want them to tell me about this again. Like, I don't need the planning wizard. But what it's trying to tell me is that task 5 is moved before the project start date. That's because we had that constraint. Remember that task here? This indicator shows a constraint. So let's just say continue to move task to start before the project start date, which is fine. And we're going to tell it to not tell us this suggestions again and hit OK. So now, seeing this light blue box, we've moved all this. Okay. Yeah, and then also, you have to be careful sometimes. It makes sense of some of this stuff. So this is an indicator here that this predecessor, this task here, actually I do want to show you this just as a note, % complete. So when we were arbitrarily just picking things, this task had a, here's a good reminder of, remember I said save every 15 minutes. That's what this box will do. This is a good visual here that we have a task that its predecessor hasn't started, but the task has some progress too, which logically doesn't make sense. So that's what this dotted line is going to show us. So we're just going to take off that, and now it's going to redo that and clean the schedule up better. That's why I really like auto schedule, because it has the thought process to understand that. So project information, we just went through that. Custom fields, we're going to skip over that. WBS, we can do define codes. That's another video. But change working times, this is a good one. So we've got other videos out that talk about how to break this down, but this is saying that our project is on a standard project calendar, which is visualized right here, where they're working 8 to 12 and then 1 p.m. to 5, and then they're not working on Saturday and Sunday. We can add either change the resource specific calendars or create our new calendars. We've got a video that talks about calendars, but this is where you do it. Very useful. Do use this all the time. We can see that Joshco is a resource under standard calendar. But let's say we want to make them work around the clock, 12 a.m. At 12 a.m., hit OK. So that changes some aspects. So that's a great one. Don't really use this a lot. Calculate project. Not something I utilize. Set baseline. This is really good. We've got videos about baseline. This is where you do set the baseline. We can set one, or we can reset one. You can set several, but you just click OK, set a baseline. So now, see we're actually in our tracking Gantt. You can see that we've got actual and planned. So that was that. Spell check, that's useful. I use that a lot. All right. View, that was Gantt chart. We're in tracking Gantt. We can go back to regular Gantt chart. There, some of this stuff just has access, calendar view. That's the view we were talking about earlier. Team planner. This is in these also specific resource view, resource, team planner, things like that. You can access this again. I use this one a lot here. It's called data outline. This will, depending on the level, a hierarchy of your WBS, how you can sort it. So for instance, level 1, that gives that first level of WBS. See, we open it up. Let's say this is just, we're going to make this task 7. But let's make a new WBS 2. But WBS 2 has a WBS 2.1 and a WBS 2.2, and it has task, what number are we on? 8 and task 9. So what this is saying, so let's establish this WBS. So let's say these tasks, I'm just clicking shift to select all these. We're going to go to task, and we're going to indent in. But so we just indented WBS 2, task 8, WBS the other two, 2.1, 2.2, and then task. So this doesn't differentiate that this is a task, even though it says WBS. When we start indenting tasks within these names, that's when it becomes a WBS. So let's add that in there. We're just indenting. So now we have a new hierarchy. Look, we've got this hierarchy of task 8 is within the hierarchy of 2.1. So when you're under view, outline, level 2, see it hid that outline, all subtasks, level 2, because that was that second level of indenting, or level 1, that's all this. Or we need to see all of them. Let's say we did that several times through several different WBS. Now let's do all subtasks. So now they're all broken out. Tables I don't use a lot. I use filters all the time. So we've got a video talking about custom filters, but you can clear filters here. You can add filters for anything, tasks with estimated durations. I use that sometimes. Incomplete tasks, I use that all the time. So there's a lot here. This is very useful. You could even highlight some. Let's say you want to highlight all tasks with estimated durations. So look, all of them. We need durations here. So let's put 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And then we go here. Oh, sorry. We go here. Clear highlight. This is that we've made an accidental constraint here, so let's go automatic. Yeah, so go back here, highlight task with estimated durations. There, see. So that's useful. I like that sometimes. Clear highlight, filter, I do that. Time scale. This is how you really adjust the Gantt chart. That's really dependent on how the project's going. I think that's a little early to show on this type schedule, but you can do days where it's individual days. You could even do quarter days, or even tighter on there. So hours. So now look, it's real, very, very zoomed in here. So that's there. Zoom, you could zoom out. That's the Gantt chart. So we're zooming out. We keep on zooming out, and gives us a more zoomed out view. We talked about this. This is real nice. The details, different windows. New windows. I don't use that a lot. So, yep. And another really good one here. If we go here, you can. There's been times where I couldn't find something within the windows that we just went through, and I typed it in here, and it found it for me. So I find that it's useful in a crunch. Other than that, that's some basic, real quick navigation. As always, on the Gantt chart, you can add columns, almost endless options here. You can modify your Gantt chart down here. You can zoom. But that is it. That's our basic navigation in Microsoft Projects. There you go. That was a pretty high-level tour of Microsoft Projects. Like and follow for more content on Microsoft Projects.